I would emphasize again that I think sex education is one of the most powerful forms of education.
Yeah.
I think that sexual oppression is a tool of fascism. So embracing sex education, understanding difference, understanding the impulses of people that you might have judgment for, this is hugely powerful and it dismantles those systems that currently oppress us.
Hello, everyone. I am here today with Laura Ramadei. She is a Shaw certified psychologist, relationship coach, educator, intimacy practitioner, and podcaster. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you so much, Michelle. It's wonderful to be here with you.
Yes, I want to start out with your 30-second origin story. How did you find your way into intimate health coaching and podcasting? And when did you realize this is my specialty?
Sure. So I was lucky to get a good sex education from an early age. So I was kind of always the friend that people came to with their questions, their
Yeah.
confusion, or their what felt like weird secrets. And that progressed for a long time. I was always very sex positive. And then I launched a podcast about porn because I was curious about it and I wanted to feel good about the content that I was consuming.
Yeah.
And that turned into kind of an educational exploration. And a lot of folks came out of the woodwork asking for more help. So it kind of enhanced and validated what I was already doing for friends on a larger scale. And that's actually when I came to the Health Alliance for certification because I said, hey, let's legitimize this thing I'm already doing.
I love that so much. I hear that all the time from people in the Shaw community. They're like, I'm just naturally that person that everybody talks to.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, what an honor, what a gift to be that person. What a special
Right.
treat to like hold people's secrets and their most like raw, tender material, frankly.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that so much. All right. Now, I want to know what is one trend that's happening in intimate health, podcasting, or coaching that genuinely excites you?
Okay, this one is kind of tricky. I was thinking about trends and my mind just went to like social media and like
Yeah.
AI. And while I actually really love and value that there's so much information available online now and that there's so much that you can learn just through those platforms, what I thought about anticipating this question was actually this pendulum swing in response to how we navigate problematic men. So this is a little
Mm,
bit more speaking to a trend in culture as much as it is like a trend in like the tactics that we use in education, but
yeah.
that there's been a huge surge of feminism for many years, and that we know that there are a lot of men now who feel rejected by that movement or who don't know how to
Mm,
engage with it.
yeah.
And it's had a negative impact, you could argue, in a lot of ways that those men are turning to the wrong spaces to look for validation, to look for camaraderie, to just feel a part of something, and where that rejection is stoked into outrage, into misogyny, into political movements that we
Yeah.
see now. So I'm seeing this kind of pendulum swing back where instead of shutting men down for not knowing enough or not showing up
Hmm.
effectively, there are more educational resources being offered, or there are practitioners like myself who are willing to work with those men and know that there can be changes, there can be shifts, that when the man comes in motivated, curious, and eager, that he can grow and he can find community in other spaces. Because I think that sexual
Yeah.
repression is a huge force for violence, frankly. So I don't know if that like answers
Yeah.
the question on like a surface level about psychology, but I think about that a lot because I sort of have to in this
Hmm.
moment have to root for that kind of education because I think it can be incredibly impactful.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, who's your primary clientele for coaching? Do you primarily work with men or do you work with everyone?
Not necessarily. That response came to mind, and I was like, this isn't like the only cross section of my clientele.
Hmm.
I do work with a lot of men individually, so that is a big portion of my clients. However, I do a huge amount of work in non-monogamy these days, and I
Yeah.
think there's been a surge in interest for that. Interestingly, along the same lines, in the sense that I think the world is evolving and different relational styles and a different relational culture is emerging. So there are a lot of people seeking help with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I work a lot with individuals who just want someone to talk to in a safe space and to process and to get a sense for like, is this okay? Am I allowed to ask for XYZ? Are my feelings bad? Am I a
Yeah.
bad person because I feel overwhelmed by this? That navigating that with some expertise and someone holding your hand and also just validating your feelings around that can be really supportive and
Yeah.
helpful in the process of growth. So I see a lot of individuals, a lot of couples as well who are newly opening up. That tends to be a niche for
Mm-hmm.
me. I'm very opposed to trying to tell people how to do their non-monogamy
Yeah.
so much as offering frameworks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the way I do my non-monogamy might look different than how you do yours. So for folks who are just opening up, looking at like pressure from different parts of the community of like, oh, I'm supposed to do it this way, or I'm not radical enough, or I'm not doing it right. Like that can be really overwhelming to consider. So I think the folks that I have resonated with are really trying to figure out what they want it to look like for them and how to
Yeah.
negotiate those agreements with their existing partners if they have them, with new partners, and how to do this ethically, but also in service of their actual wants and needs. So that's a
Yeah.
huge cross section of my work as well. And then I also work with like triads and polycules and groups in like facilitating agreements, talking through conflicts, conflict resolution, of course, and just providing like all forms of support for non-monogamous folks too.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fabulous. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, and you kind of already answered my next question because I get this question all the time from people. They're like, what does a sex coach do? Like, what does a sex relationship coach do? And so you already laid out some of those things. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Like, what is a sex coach?
Actually, I love this question because some people kind of loosely refer to me as their therapist,
Hmm.
or like that terminology can be interchangeable. And while I'm certainly not insulted, I do try to make sure that my clients understand the difference because it's important in some cases where what I don't do is clinical work around
Yeah.
like fresh trauma, processing personality disorders or significant mental health challenges. Like
Hmm.
in my consults with clients initially, I'll ask about their history. And if I feel like they need that kind of support, I'll either refer them out or ask that they work with a therapist if they aren't already in tandem with me. That said, the way I work feels really similar to therapy in that it is a form of talk therapy. It's a lot of just shared space, it's a lot of venting, it's a lot of talking through problems and challenges and feelings.
Yeah.
But then it can also involve slightly more structured work, and I do customize that based on what my client needs. A lot of the clients I work with, it's quite fluid. It's really like session over session. What are they bringing in that day? And then sometimes we'll surface insights or actions that they want to carry forward. For some clients, I will put together a kind of program that's a little bit more structured. Like, for
Yeah.
example, that can be useful for folks who, like, for example, a couple that has a really strong relationship, they just want to enhance their intimacy and they want to try
Hmm.
kink for the first time. So in that case, I might say, okay, I think we can do that in 4 to 6 sessions, and each session will contain a topic, and I'll have homework assignments for you, and you'll start to explore some of these new things with me helping out from a professional perspective about safety and communication and how to establish your boundaries and your container for different kinds of play. And that is a little more structured than what feels a little closer to talk therapy. So coaching really can overlap. And the thing is that each coach can kind of dictate what it looks like for them because
Yeah.
it's a much less regulated space, of course, for better or worse. But for me, that's essentially what it looks like, that it can feel a lot like therapy, but that it has a lot of different specializations that feel more targeted around certain goals or certain topics, essentially. And the scope of my work is also, and I'll say also the clientele I serve is a little broader than those who maybe work under licensure, which was part
Hmm.
of my choice to go this route for certification. I was already working with and talking to sex workers and people of different gender and bodily identifications.
Yeah.
And Shaw actually taught me that in 2013, or it was 2013, that we finally adjusted the assessment that being trans was disordered, right?
Yeah.
So there are bodies, bureaucratic bodies, that are kind of behind the sexual progress that populations are making. And I work right on that cusp. I work with very progressive people who are really outside on those margins, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I knew that I didn't want to work under licensure where that bureaucracy might interfere with my ability to best serve those clients.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Very well said.
Become an in-demand sexual health professional. Gain expert education and become a SHA certified therapist, coach, sexuality counselor, or educator. Hit the subscribe button to be an expert counselor or educator. Hit the subscribe button to learn more.
I want to ask you another question that I get a lot. Okay, so do we need more sex coaches? Like, is this a viable profession for people to look into? Like, do you have people coming to you a lot wanting your services?
I mean, I will say it's a difficult moment for every industry, right?
Mm,
Like everyone is squeezed, and when everyone feels like they don't have money or no one has money, then it can be hard to invest in something that might feel like a luxury.
yeah,
But I truly believe that this work is at the core of individual happiness, personal
yeah,
authenticity, and I think that's tremendously important. And I do believe that the field isn't going anywhere. And I
yeah,
think that what you need to find is the niche that feels right to you and that
yeah,
meets this particular moment. Like, for example, I am seeing a lot of attention in the non-monogamy space because that's growing and because that's a space where we're seeing more activity. So I'm actually very happy to lean into that space and to serve folks. I also think, and I said this already and I'll say it again, that sexuality is such an important tool for fighting oppression,
yeah.
frankly. Like sexual education is so helpful on that front. So I think in this particular moment, it's more important than ever. So yes, I would encourage folks to go into it, but knowing that any transition, like any effort to build a new career is going to be challenging. And this is a very challenging moment to build something new in any avenue. And I think a lot of us are there right now.
All right. I want to know if you could teach the world one key insight about intimate health, something that really moves the needle, what would that be?
My biggest keyword, and I would say this comes up in so many avenues of my work, and I actually think it's kind of the key to life, is curiosity, because
Mm,
this enters into so many aspects of this work. If I am feeling disconnected from my partner sexually and they're not responding or they're not feeling like, oh, they're enjoying this sex with me, I want to get curious, right? I want to ask them what they enjoy. I want to get deeper into what they might like and sort of start to understand their erotic mind better.
yeah.
If I am having a nervous system response, if I'm feeling activated in conflict with my partner, curiosity is actually a really helpful tool to calm the nervous system, to reconnect and to ground myself in the present moment if that's what I need to do. So, curiosity is this massively powerful tool that applies not just to like expanding our education and therefore expanding our horizons, but also to dismantling conflict and strengthening our bonds and building better relationships. So curiosity is like, oof, like just a like wonderful sweet spot that comes up all the time in my work.
Oh, I love it. Stay curious. Now, at Shaw, we train many people who are wanting to work in intimate health and relationships. What's the most important thing professionals need to know in this space?
Leave your judgment at the door. Leave
Mm,
your cultural programming, your purity culture at the door, and come in with an open mind.
yeah, love that.
Yeah.
Now, if you could leave one message for the next generation about intimate health and relationships, what would it be and why does it matter right now?
I think I would emphasize again that I think sex education is one of the most powerful forms of education.
Yeah,
I think that sexual oppression is a tool of fascism. So embracing sex education, understanding difference, understanding the impulses of people that you might have judgment for, this is hugely powerful and it dismantles those systems that currently oppress us. So
hmm,
I think that's it. It's
yeah,
at the core of everything, I
yeah,
think.
that's
Yeah.
super powerful for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, my final question. So, you are a Shaw graduate. What was your experience like going through the educational program at Sexual Health Alliance?
I really loved it, to be honest. I mentioned earlier that I came in to kind of legitimize something that I was already doing. And in many ways, it was really validating because I was like, oh, a lot of the things I'm learning, I know, but I'm getting this deeper understanding. I'm getting more access to really well vetted resources. Like I'm reading all of the academic papers on the thing I anecdotally know, which was really
Yeah.
helpful. But I also felt like it was so clear that Shaw is really cognizant of changing trends and of unfolding progress and of different populations. Like it was a very inclusive education. And it felt really, when I talked about like checking your judgment, that was key because I have watched hundreds of hours of different kinds of porn and done a pretty good job at investigating my own bias and any kind of stigma I feel. And there were still elements of the training that were challenging in the best way, where I had
Mm-hmm.
to like look at the narratives I was coming in with and some of the conditioning I had and to question like whether I was bringing in some judgment and whether that
Yeah.
might lead into my interactions with clients. So I really think that Shaw is like an exemplary progressive institution without ever sacrificing like legitimacy or credential or research, like all of those aspects of the education. And of course, I love that it was like flexible, that there were wonderful people involved,
Yeah.
that everyone's so friendly, and that like it's always really like entertaining and fun to be part of a Shaw conference.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I love hearing that. Thank you so much.
Of course, of course. I'm very grateful to Shaw.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for watching. If you want to learn more from experts like Laura, check out our upcoming events at sexualhealthalliance.com. Bye, everyone.